3. There is still a third difference, the manner in which each of these objects may be imitated. For the medium being the same and the objects the same, the poet may imitate by narration, in which case he can either take another personality as Homer does, or speak in his own person, unchanged. Or he may present all his characters as living and moving before us. These, then, as we said at the beginning, are the three differences which distinguish artistic imitation, the medium, the objects, and the manner. So that from one point of view, Sophocles is an imitator of the same kind as Homer, for both imitate higher types of character, from another point of view, of the same kind as Aristophanes, for both imitate persons acting and doing. Hence, some say, the name of drama is given to such poems as representing action. For the same reason the Dorians claim the invention both of tragedy and comedy. The claim to comedy is put forward by the Megarians, not only by those of Greece proper, who allege that it originated under their democracy, but also by the Megarians of Sicily, for the poet Epicharmus, who is much earlier than Chionides and Magnus, belonged to that country. Tragedy, too, is claimed by certain Dorians of the Peloponnese. In each case they appeal to the evidence of language. The outlying villages, they say, are by them called Kappa Omega Mu Alpha Iota, by the Athenians, Delta Eta Mu Iota, and they assume that comedians were so named not from Kappa Omega Mu, Alpha Zeta Epsilon Iota Nu, to revel, but because they wandered from village to village, Kappa Alpha Tau Alpha / Kappa Omega Mu Alpha Sigma, being excluded contemptuously from the city. They add also that the Dorian word for doing is delta rho alpha nu, and the Athenian pi rho alpha tau tau epsilon iota nu. This may suffice as to the number and nature of the various modes of imitation. Summary and reflection of 3. In section 3 of the Poetics, Aristotle introduces the third crucial difference in artistic imitation, the manner in which objects are imitated. With the medium and objects being the same, the poet can choose to imitate through narration, either adopting another personality, as Homer does, or speaking in their own unchanged persona. Alternatively, the poet may bring characters to life, presenting them as living and moving before the audience. These three distinctions, medium, objects, and manner, constitute the fundamental differences that define artistic imitation. From one perspective, Aristotle contends that Sophocles is an imitator of the same kind as Homer because both portray higher types of character. However, from another standpoint, Sophocles shares common ground with Aristophanes, as both imitate persons in action. The term drama is suggested as an apt descriptor for such poems, emphasizing their representation of action. This leads to a claim by the Dorians of the Peloponnese that they invented both tragedy and comedy, each appealing to linguistic evidence to support their case. The Megarians, particularly those from Greece and Sicily, assert their claim to the invention of comedy, citing the poet Epicharmus as evidence. Tragedy, on the other hand, is claimed by certain Dorians in the Peloponnese, supported by linguistic distinctions. This section concludes Aristotle's exploration of the number and nature of various modes of imitation, laying the foundation for understanding the intricate choices poets make in portraying characters and narratives.
Practical exercises.
Writers. Experiment with different narrative perspectives, adopting a first-person narrative to embody a character, and then transitioning to a third-person omniscient perspective for narration. Write a scene where characters are presented as vividly alive, exploring the challenges of bringing characters to life through action and dialogue. Composers. Compose a musical piece that follows a narrative structure, conveying the essence of characters through evolving musical motifs. Experiment with the use of musical dynamics and tempo to represent the vividness of characters and action in a composition. Dancers. Choreograph a dance that alternates between narrated segments and dynamic, living portrayals of characters, exploring the fusion of narrative and movement. Explore the use of varied dance styles to convey different characters, embodying the essence of their actions through movement. Actors. Engage in acting exercises that involve transitioning between different narrative styles, embodying characters both in the first person and as part of a dynamic ensemble. Perform scenes where characters come to life through expressive dialogue and physical movement, capturing the essence of the character's actions. These exercises encourage artists to experiment with the manner of imitation, exploring the dynamic choices available to writers, composers, dancers, and actors as they bring characters and narratives to life within their chosen artistic mediums.